so different.
I step in the halls.
You do. Jim
Hey guys, welcome to tonight's LGBTQ Voice. I'm your host, Traci Welch. So as you guys know, I check my phone to make sure we're working and that we're on, and we are. So as you guys have comments, questions, concerns, please ask. Oh, see, there we go. There's my volume. The volume works, AJ. AJ was checking to see if the volume worked. Before I introduce our guests, I want to let you guys know that last week was our 1-year anniversary of the LGBTQ Voice. I'm very proud of the work that we've done for the community, bringing the community news to you, different events, and what's been impacting the LGBT community and the community at large. We've had discussions on homelessness, family, domestic violence, transgender deaths, question 3, and acceptance. This platform we've been given is amazing. Not every guest identifies as LGBTQ. They're allies, friends, and family. But we want to talk about what's been impacting our community and how we and our guests can help. So if you'd like to sponsor a segment of the show, place an ad in our show. If you'd like to do a whole show takeover, please email leo@newbedfordguide.com, and that's up on the screen right now, so you don't have to write all the information down. As the show goes, you can kind of rewind, if you want to call it that, and get the information. So I want to let you guys know that 50% of all the proceeds that we get go to the South Coast LGBTQ network, and that's who hosts the show, as well as the New Bedford Guide. So they post, all the production is theirs, the tech guy is theirs, everything that we do, the studio is theirs. So they need to get their piece of the pie, if you want to call it that. But 50% of all the proceeds go to the programs that we have at the center, located at 484 Pleasant Street, New Bedford, Mass. So I know AJ's going to put something out. We have Pride Yoga coming up. We moved Pride Yoga from Mondays now to Wednesdays. There's an 8-week class coming up, January 9th to February 27th. And it's 6:30 to 7:30 at 484 Pleasant Street. All levels are welcome to come. And again, it's LGBTQ and allies are welcome at the center. It is not handicap accessible. Maybe one day we will be able to get that center, that we have the working kitchen, that we have ADA compliance, that we have showers, and we have so much for our community and our homeless youth and seniors in our community. But for now, this is what we have. And Monday nights is Pride Cafe from 7 to 9. It's to get people away from the bar scene, just kind of come out and hang out. It's a social group. Thursday night is our MB Agley night. It's ages 14 to 24, talking with kids about different issues and concerns that are impacting their lives and their sexual orientation or their gender identity. And we started Gay AA, as I call it, Sober and Out. And you can see us or be there Sundays from, 9 o'clock, I believe, 9 to 10. And again, get away and, kind of work on your sobriety. So tonight, we're starting our year off with a great topic. It's the Women's March. So it's going to be January 19th in New Bedford. So I'm going to introduce our guests right now. So we have Dana Ribeiro, City Councilor, Ward 4.
Hello, congratulations on your 1 year.
Woo-hoo, I know, we rocked it. We actually had 2 weeks off. So it's kind of nice to kind of refresh, regroup, and work on our topics for this year coming up. Ruth, I'm going to say, I didn't actually, is it Chica? Chica, community activist and advocate for civic participation, and Beth Foto, commissioner on the New Bedford Human Relations Commission. So we usually start the show and go right into topics, so we're going to start the new year off a little different. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and the work that you do in our community? So let's start with Dana.
So I am a third-generation Cape Verdean American from New Bedford. My father was one of the founders of the Black Panther Party, so my family's always been very active. I've been taught to be an activist my whole life, so I think of myself more as an activist that got elected versus like an elected official. I think I'm a bit too feral for that latter description, But I like bringing people together, and I like seeing what happens when different people come together and what naturally evolves from it. So that, I guess, is my passion. How I do that is by trying to go to as many events as I can, working with these two wonderful women. They expose me to so many things, and always keeping an open mind.
Sweet. I have Ruth.
So I am newer in the South Coast New Bedford area. I've lived in New Bedford for 5 years now. I helped found a group called Action Together Massachusetts, which was formed in the wake of the last presidential election. However, it's really focused on women-led civic engagement. So we are a nonprofit 501c4. We're not partisan. So there are members in the group who came from all sides of the political spectrum, supporting all different kinds of candidates, just everybody coming together to think about what can we do going forward to make sure that we're civically engaged. And for us, we know that, it's a cliche saying, but politics is local. So really getting involved in your own community and trying to do things where you live and getting to know your elected officials is really important. So we try to encourage that. But then also bring events that are sort of like on a national pulse down to a local level.
Beth, what have you been up to?
So I am a fourth generation living in New Bedford. I am Canadian, French, and Cape Verdean. My father was actually a civil rights activist during the riots in the 70s. So I also would say I kind of have it in my blood. But, there were life circumstances I had that didn't allow me, I felt, to be as active in the community. Until one day I felt like I wanted representation that looked like me, and there wasn't, so I decided to be that representation. So I tried to do things in the community that would help my socioeconomic kind of class. I worked with Raise Up on the minimum wage and paid family medical leave. I worked with these two wonderful women who inspire me and mentor me with the Families Belong Together March and, of course, the Women's March, and so been very lucky to have such great mentors in my life.
Sweet.
And she's Woman of the Year, New Bedford's Woman of the Year.
Absolutely.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was looking to see if anybody had any comments, but it just says people watching us, which is funny. No comments yet. But yeah, so tell us about that for a little bit.
Oh, I don't.
Yep.
It's
It's time to talk about yourself, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, I am now. I
just got
yeah,
my
I
hair
got the hair. So it was a complete shock to me. I was actually helping my grandmother write out her Christmas cards to send them when someone from the paper called me and said that I had been nominated and they wanted to do an interview because I was a finalist. And so we did that, and I never heard much about it, and the new year came and went. So I was like, well, the people they chose
nomination's
were
great.
Yeah, no, I was like, it's very humbling, and I'm very proud to have been nominated. And then the article came out online the night before, and I was tagged in it, and I was shocked, and I still am very shocked and appreciative and very humbled,
We're not shocked.
No, not at all. So I just want to go into some of the research that Kevin and I had done. The history of the first Women's March was 1913 Women's Suffrage Parade. I know this is the Women's March, and a little bit different from that, but in 1913, 103 years ago, thousands of women gathered in Washington, D.C. to call for a constitutional amendment guaranteeing women the right to vote. While women had been fighting hard for suffrage for over 60 years, this marked the first major national event for the movement. The huge parade, which was spearheaded by Alice Paul and the National Women's Suffrage Association, was held on March 3rd, 1913. Riding atop a white horse, lawyer and activist Inez, I'm going to say the name wrong, guys, I'm sorry, Milholland led over 5,000 suffragettes up Pennsylvania Avenue, along with over 20 parade floats, 9 bands, and 4 mounted brigades. The organizers of the parade also maximized attention on the event by strategically hosting it one day before the inauguration of Woodrow Wilson. The tactic worked. As the women marched from the U.S. Capitol toward the Treasury building, they were met by thousands of spectators, many in town for the inauguration. I just think it's, history, 1913 and where we've come, and we keep saying the same thing with LGBTQ rights, where we've come and how far we have to go. It just amazes me. And then it said that while it took over 7 years for the 19th Amendment to be ratified on August 18th, 1920, the women who marched on this day in history accomplished their goal of, God help me, revigorating the suffrage movement. As the official parade pamphlet read, they gave expression to the nationwide demand for the amendment to the United States Constitution enfranchising women. And not all spectators were kind, it said in the article, and I was talking to the ladies offline, that when I post for the LGBTQ Voice, and if you guys could friend our page, the LGBTQ Voice and the South Coast LGBTQ Network, we do so much in our community. We get hate mail, we get things on our Facebook page, and even the New Bedford page that we can post on. If you guys have anything to do around New Bedford, you can post on the New Bedford page. We posted that we were going to be closed for 2 weeks, the show, and somebody put question mark, so I explained them what the show was. Then that same woman put not interested, and I'm okay with that. If you're not interested in the LGBTQ Voice, more power to you. I posted again, happy holidays from us to you, and I posted our youth page, the yoga, everything that we, on one little screenshot of our logos. And she posts, please do not post on my page. So the New Bedford page is everybody's page. The LGBTQ Voice is everybody's page. If you want to post something, be kind, and we'll listen. If you want to come on our show and tell you why you feel my rights aren't my rights, or my rights were taken away, I'd be more than glad to have you as a guest. But let's talk about it. Let's be, I guess, civil. The woman who posted this was of color. So we talk about the show, and again, offline, Natalie Jacobson years ago before marriage equality was passed in 2004, had a forum of why people think we should be allowed to marry and why people think we shouldn't be allowed to marry. And this distinguished couple of color were speaking on behalf of why we shouldn't have right to be married. And here I am thinking that if somebody didn't speak up for your rights, you wouldn't be able to be at this platform today speaking. But they were very eloquent. I'm not saying they were rude about it, but sitting at home, it's again, my thoughts and my opinions. We've come so far, but we're so far behind. So now that I've kind of ranted and raved a little bit, we're actually going to come back to our guests. So the Women's March. I'm quite excited. I saw it on Facebook. You guys have a Facebook page. So I know AJ is going to put a link up to your page. Do you guys want to talk about first the shirts, and then we'll kind of go into the movement itself, things like that? You guys want to go into that?
Sure. So these are the shirts. There's a link that you can buy them up on our Facebook page. But A's Before J's is the organization that's is the vendor, the shirt vendor. Yep. So they helped us design this art last year. We kind of liked that it had like a urban feel to it, but we loved the purple color because we're trying not to be divisive with our color choice. And Dana chose to add this little persister fist at the end there. So, yes. Power to the people and persist on. She persisted. So we love the shirt and we hope that you'll want to get one.
And it says what?
It says Women Run This.
Yep. So it's funny that you said that because I'm doing our research last week, and I'm going to find my 18th note of the 116th Congress has 23.7% of the 535 members of Congress are women. Mm-hmm. And that's the most it's been.
And to think that it's such a huge accomplishment, but it's still only 23.7%. And people, this is my worst is when people say, well, why do you march? You can vote and it's like, that's enough for you. And until we have equal representation in politics, in business, in the arts, with actual leadership jobs and writing and producing and those types of things, and we aren't equal. 27% is not equal.
I know, Dana, you went abroad and did some production and things like that. I researched your thing. It's just amazing what we can bring to the table and what people don't realize. They think we're just women talking about this group, but you have a background, you have a background, you have a background. Yes, I'm a woman. Sorry, guys. I have a background, and a year ago, we didn't have this.
Right.
And we're talking about, and I never thought I'd be a producer. I produce a live weekly show. I host a live weekly show. To have this platform, I think is huge to let people know that women can do, and to teach our kids, these young girls coming up, hopefully somebody's, watching these today, and maybe one day you guys will be on TV screen at their school saying, this is what Dana did, and, next year maybe you'll be Woman of the Year, maybe you'll be Woman of the Year. Is there a Men of the Year in New Bedford?
Yes.
Is there? Right, sorry. So we'll talk about you guys in another show.
And it's fun. I think people often mistake us saying we want to do this as trying to take away from them, saying that, well, you can't. We're not trying to take away anybody else's rights or trying to say that you shouldn't be in leadership positions because you're a man. We're just saying we as women who do not have equal representation should have that, you know, and it's not trying to say you should not be there at the table. It's saying we want more seats at the table.
And we find a lot of partnerships with men that get that,
Yes.
that are like, hell yeah, you know, like come
we would love to
lead
work
us
with you,
or
but
stand with us, you know. So it's
And some of
not
these-
every guy that's in
And some of these
trouble.
men have had strong moms in their lives, and they miss that support, and they want that support, and I guess some of them maybe need that support.
And they want to raise strong daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Facebook ad that somebody put up, and the husband and wife weren't married anymore, and the husband on the birthday would come over and cook the mom breakfast with their boys, and they said, well, why would you do that? It's not your wife, because I'm teaching my men how to respect women.
Oh, that's
You know,
awesome.
and I was like, wow, that was a good one. I really like that one.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of go into some questions right now. What do you hope the Women's March accomplishes, if you want to?
Well, I hope, going into what I was just saying, I hope it accomplishes that young women leaders see this vast network of support with us saying we want more representation, and seeing like they wanted to run for office, or they see that they have this kind of net where there are these women who are saying this is what we want. So for me, and I also hope it shows our elected officials that we are not going, we're here, we see how you're voting, we see what you're saying, and we're making sure that you're on our same line. And I think that's a huge force in our march.
Any other comments?
So two things that I would want. One is women coming together and networking across the South Coast, and just meeting up and few months down the line, bumping into each other again, and maybe working on something. The other thing, besides the sisterhood, is reminding young women from New Bedford that women from New Bedford are strong, and that whether we're here or we leave, we have impact. The first year we had Ms. Perman Hardy, who was our guest speaker, who really helped Doug Jones get elected, really worked the black belt. And the great thing was that Marcy Christian Pina, who works in City Hall, her sister went to school in that area during, in the 50s, and was friends, it was like a school to become a preacher. And one of her friends was a white girl who talked about her uncle being a Klansman and was just awful. And one day she comes in there, I need help. She's like, my uncle blew up a church in Birmingham, killed 4 little girls, and I'm going to testify against him. And Marcy's sister protected her and hid her until she was able, you know, to testify. And that changed not only that bombing and that prosecution, not only changed like perception in the United States, but influenced people fighting apartheid in South Africa and people in struggles around the world. And it was a woman from New Bedford that had an impact in that. And that's not in any history book. Marcy didn't even know about it for a long time. So that's an example of a woman from New Bedford having an impact. And our guest speaker now, and we can go into that later, is another woman.
You can go into it.
Oh, well, her name is Kim Holland, and she was one of the youngest members of the Black Panther Party here in New Bedford. And one day, some guys from Fairhaven drove down, and they did a drive-by, shooting at people outside the office, and they killed a 17-year-old. They shot a 19-year-old, my uncle, Gordon, and they shot Kim Holland at 15. And she went on, she's a renowned gynecologist. She lives in the West Coast. She's coming here to speak.
Awesome.
And to talk about, you know, what she's learned. And we're gonna get so much from her strength. And I mean, can you imagine at 15, like standing up like that? And that's what young women in New Bedford are made of, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, one person can make a difference.
Oh yeah,
It
absolutely.
amazes me. And the history, you know?
Right.
You know, we talk about the LGBTQ history around, because a lot of us don't have kids, I do. But as we don't have generation after generation, LGBTQ history is going to be gone. So to hear that generation and keep your history going is going to be amazing. We're hoping that Andy Pollock is interviewing some of our elders now by video. That way we don't lose the history.
The history is amazing. I was so moved growing up with the story of Stonewall, of, you know, gays fighting back. And that, again, I'm sure influenced people around the world. That was a huge point.
And
And
that's why we have Pride every year.
yeah. And every year, actually, we would, when I lived in New York, we would go and there would be like flowers set up and candles, and we'd honor, and many of the people are still alive.
There's only about a dozen left that were inside Stonewall.
Wow.
I actually had lunch with one of them a month and a half ago, and we're trying to do something with them because this is the 50th anniversary of Stonewall.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they actually have a worldwide Pride every year, and this year Interpride is going to be in New York.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
yeah, get to New York, guys.
Close
You gotta
enough
get,
to go.
I have to go
I
too,
took
yeah.
the dates off. I already took the dates
When
off.
is it?
I apologize, I don't have.
Oh, okay.
It's in
Cool.
June.
Yeah.
I think it's June 17th, it's like the day of,
Perfect.
but they have a whole week long of an
Right.
event. So we're hoping to do some, inviting the guests. We're hoping to do a Friday night and invite some of the Stonewall veterans that are still alive.
Oh, that's cool.
And do an event Friday night before our June 1st Pride. So that's
Very
why I was
cool.
trying to get a hold of the Harbor Hotel.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we're
that's
trying to-
great.
just trying to
We'll
sit-
make that happen.
you
It
know,
has to.
just-
It's
just-
important
just-
anniversary
Yeah,
to recognize.
it's amazing.
And it's inspiring to everybody, gay or not gay.
Oh,
Yes.
wicked, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I sat in his kitchen and he was telling the story of him being there and why they were there. It was Judy Garland's death, and that was the day of her
Oh,
service.
wow.
And that's why people had gotten together. She was such a gay icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just to hear the history, sit down, and his husband made his lunch, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So next time I go, I'm gonna bring my video camera and videotape it. You just want to show up to somebody's house and say, hey, can I tape you?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but it was definitely amazing. We'll hopefully have them on our show coming up.
And that's the great thing, though, is history
Yeah.
moves you when you think of the people who came before you and what you want to do. That's why I love New Bedford. It's so entrenched in history, especially where activism is concerned. It touches you, it moves you, makes you want to be a part of that.
No comments yet, but people are watching. There's a
Hey.
bunch of people watching.
Hello.
You guys can comment if you have any questions for the ladies.
Do you mind if I read the
You
statement
can
of
read
our March
anything
values?
you want.
So, all March affiliates stand for equal rights, religious tolerance, freedom of the press, science, inclusivity, social justice, economic freedom, and fundamental human decency.
Sweet. So I know you guys said offline that you guys are going to be doing your own affiliation of the march. You want to talk about that? Your own?
Well, we do,
Yeah.
we represent the South Coast, and there are other women's marches, and there's the one that is, you know, the main one that's in DC, but we represent the South Coast, we represent ourselves and what we do in the South Coast, so any type of affiliations or ideas from any other women's marches ours, our ideas and ethics and what we believe in are our own, and that's what we represent here in the South Coast,
Yeah.
and are not attached to anything else.
We definitely believe that we know there's many different sorts of feminists, and we want all women to feel like they are welcome, no matter what walk of life or what side of
Yes.
the aisle they come from. We're here together, the three of us working collectively for women on the South Coast. All women on the South
Yes.
Coast, no matter how you feel about stuff. So similarly, how you said before, if you want to challenge me, that's fine, let's just be civil about it.
Yeah.
That's also how we feel.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're open to talking with everyone, and we really want all women to feel like they need to be able to make decisions for themselves. That's the
Yeah.
goal here, is all women should be able to make decisions for themselves and have a seat at the table. So we're really focused on local and making sure that we represent all women.
I think that's smart, you know, I mean, obviously, we talked about Stonewall and stuff, but, you know, we have New Bedford Pride, that's now South Coast Pride. And people always say, but you always do everything in New Bedford. I said, well, that's because we live here, that's where my base is, but we do everything in the South Coast. So I was kind of psyched that it was Women's March on the South Coast. It just happens to be in New Bedford. So if you guys have any comments or concerns, you know, you can hit Eileen up or myself up at Traci at sclgbtqnetwork.org or Eileen at sclgbtqnetwork.org. I'll make sure I plug us for our emails. Because of the show and the networking that we do, we're able to have more shows and different topics. Kevin and I were just reviewing the whole year's shows that we have coming up and different topics. So I think one of my favorite ones that we're going to have coming up is having 2 youth, 1 straight, 1 gay, 1 elder, 1 straight, 1 gay, and hear what it's like for everybody to be like me white, you of color. You know, we sit at the table, what is it like for both of us? You know, I don't think people realize that you have differences that I don't even know about.
Right.
You know, and we're gonna do a show with LGBTQ with disabilities.
And
Oh, very cool.
that's amazing. I love that. And I feel like if more people could get together one-on-one, people take too many ideas as a whole
Yeah.
and kind of blanket everything. If you can sit down with a person who thinks differently than you or doesn't understand why you believe it, almost 100% of the time, a one-on-one conversation really helps you connect. So that's why I hate seeing online, like people will take an idea like the Women's March, blanket it as a one idea thing and hate it. When, if you would sit down and speak with us and ask us questions and it were one-on-one without all kinds of like outside voices, I'm sure we could come to a really great conversation.
When we first started the network, we wanted it to be the LGBT and the Q in our logo. And the elders of our community, the word queer was faggot, and it's the N-word that's still today.
Yeah.
And they didn't like it at all. Well, our youth was like, well, we like it. So me sitting at the table, I said, well, why don't you tell us as elders why you don't like it? You youth, why don't you tell us why you do like the word? And then we compromised. After the seniors heard that the kids were like, I'm queer, and so what are you gonna do about it? Well, here I am. I'm not going anywhere. You know, back in the day, you could get arrested. You know, there's certain things. You
Right.
know, I had to wear 3 articles of women's clothing when I could be arrested in the 70s. I mean, think about that. 50 years ago, I could be arrested.
That's crazy.
Today, kid, I go to jail.
But you know what? Now
Yeah.
people can still be attacked.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
there's still like bias.
Yeah. Yeah, even the gay community is still biased against the gay community. which is
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
It's not funny.
Really?
It's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll probably be another show for another time. But if you see our logo, it's the LGBT and the Q's on the umbrella. Because the old timers umbrellas have the handlebar. That's what the Q is. So together we compromise. Oh, hey, we're live. Hi, Mom. I'll get back to you later. I can't tell you how many shows we've started off, and I think my volume is down like today as well, and it's not down. Did I tell you to turn that on mute?
You did. It is on mute.
No,
We just have really good hearing.
Yeah, no kidding, no. But yeah, kind of we'll go back to the show, I guess. Yeah, I'm having too much fun. Who was allowed to participate?
Everybody
Yes.
is allowed to participate in any way they want. This year, right, we have a men's forum.
Should we go over the events?
Yeah, we can go over the whole.
list?
You want to start at the top and
Start
work your way
with
down?
Friday
Yeah,
night?
we can
Yep.
start. Do you want to start with LunaFest?
Sure. So Friday night we are starting off. It's the weekend of women. We did
Let me
the
just
same
make sure,
thing
AJ,
last
can you
year.
put up the poster of the
Yeah,
events for
That
the,
would be great.
Thank you.
And again,
Can you hear me?
everybody is invited to all of these events.
I don't know if you heard it. Hey, AJ, can you put up the poster of the events going on? Thank you so much. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. So Friday night at the Zeiterion Theater, we are kicking off the weekend with LunaFest, which is a film festival, films only by, for, and about women. So they are short films. We're also including a local film that was produced right here in New Bedford. And we'll have an activism fair and a welcome reception from about 5 to 7, and then at 7 o'clock we'll start the film. Then everybody's invited to, we were debating on how we say this.
Slanche.
I always say Slante, sorry,
I say
Slante.
The old catwalk
So-
for us New
Yes.
Bedfordites.
Yeah.
So they're going to do some really fun themed cocktails and mocktails, and we'll have an after party there, and so that'll be really fun.
And thank you, Kathy Flynn.
Yeah, really awesome. On Saturday is the jam-packed day. So, and also what I want to say is that everybody's busy. Women in particular are busy.
Yeah.
So pick what you can come to, which is why we're doing a day and a weekend of so many different things. If childcare is an issue, if work is an issue, transportation, hopefully you can make it to something.
Yep.
And be able to participate in some way. So, Friday night doesn't work for you. Saturday at the Art Museum, we're going to start in the morning with a women's forum. Our keynote is Dr. Lori Santos. Beth, you want to talk about what she'll be talking about there?
And who she is?
She's like, no, I don't.
No, I would love to. She's my cousin. Lori's my cousin, and she went to New Bedford Public Schools and then went on to Harvard, and now she's a professor at Yale, and she teaches the historically most popular class that Yale has ever had about happiness. And she'll be talking about herself as a minority woman at Harvard and the experience there, and what it's like being from a city like New Bedford and going on to Harvard. And she's a research psychologist, so being in the STEM field with that, going on to Harvard, and then to being, a kind of famous professor now. She's been on all kinds of
New York
shows.
Times.
She's the New York Times. She's been on the Today Show. And she's just the most humble person you could ever meet. And she will be our keynote at 8:30 or 9.
9.
9.
Yeah.
Another
Doors
example
open
of girls
at
who
8:30.
Doors
Bedford
open at
doing
8:30.
great things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So this year we did add a men's forum, and that's going to be held at Solstice Skate Shop.
which is on Purchase Street.
Yeah, so we had some feedback that men really wanted to participate and have a forum and learn how to be better allies. And so, well, we said, okay, that's great. So, Danny, you want to talk about who's going to lead the men's piece?
Yes, we've got Angel Diaz, who's a teacher at our sister school. We've got Jim Pimentel, who's a member of the Bricklayers Union. I think he's the head of the Bricklayers Union, and he does amazing work with those unions to really try to get as many young women and young women of color involved into that pathway. And Minnie DeBrito, who also is part of A's for J's, who does these shirts, and is a really good ally to women.
And that's at 10:30.
Yep, that's at 10:30.
And it's all men, so you guys go, you talk, you feel comfortable. And no, because I hear men say things like, you know, they don't know what the new rules are, and they don't want to make any mistakes, and even like when they talk, they start off with no offense, but. So I think it's a good thing for them to get together and be able to just let their hair down. I guess that's what we do. And
In a comfortable, kind of safe place where they can ask those questions without saying no offense first.
Yeah.
Right. So we say we respectfully request that anyone who identifies as a female register for the Women's Forum, and anyone who identifies as a male register for the Male Forum. So it's a judgment call on your piece where you fall on that spectrum and where you'd like to attend. But we want everybody to feel like they're in a welcoming, supportive environment.
Yep. Sweet. And then we're going to march. We're going to meet at the Custom House Square at noon. This year we're going to have a bit of a rally, because last year, as people were like coming in dribs and droves, it was kind of like quiet, and we didn't really know where to go. So we're going to like amp it up a little bit and be a little more energetic. We are so praying for the weather we had last year. It was a great day. So we're going to march. We're going to march from the Custom House Square, and we're going to end at the New Bedford Public Library, and we'll have some programming there. So after that, you get to pick what you want to do here again. If you stay at the library at 2:30, there's going to be a Beyond Me Too session, which is sponsored by the Mass Bar Association. They are sending a speaker to talk about, you know, what's next after Me Too, like in the workplace, in relational dynamics, like what else can we do besides just say #MeToo? What does lifting each other up in those circumstances really look like? And we're also going to continue our Persisterhood Awards. So we had the first round of Persisterhood Awards last month.
And we honored Linda Pereira of Fall River, who was a city councilor, longtime city councilor, and ran for mayor. Linda Morad of New Bedford, who's a longtime city councilor, also ran for mayor.
And was just also elected council president, right?
For a second time in a row.
Yes.
And thank you, I forgot about that. And even though I was there last night.
Well, it's a lot to pick up.
And I think they nominated her, And
Marty
Exaferis, who's been very involved in the Democratic Party and really supports women running, big mentor of mine, great woman. And Lee Blake, who started the Women's Center here, and has done so much. Like, she worked in New York, and she's brought millions in terms of grant monies. She's just a force.
And she worked at a time where she said at the fundraiser, right, that birth control was illegal.
For single women.
For single women at the time.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And it's these things that you realize how far you've come and how far we need to go, so that
and
the next
what
generation.
we stand to lose if we
Yes,
slide
yes,
back. So.
absolutely.
So I do have one comment from Paulo. I'm marching to renew my gender from male to female so I can use your restroom.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Is that a statement or a,
March
or a
with us.
question?
Come march with us.
Yeah, come
I'd
march.
love to have you.
Yep. Well, Yes on 3 just passed, so a transgender person has a right to use the, or anybody has the right to use the restroom that they identify.
Yeah.
So.
I don't understand what the deal is with that. It seems so simple. Just go into the bathroom of the gender that you are.
When it's an emergency, I'm going in whatever one I want.
When there's a line, when there's a long line, how many women use the men's room?
I know.
We don't think
And
twice
then
about it.
actually, it was funny because when I was in the Women's March in DC, we were at one place, and it was like there was a long line for the women's room and the men's room was empty. So we did this thing where like a few women sat out front to say, hey guys, wait, and the women would go in. And then if a guy went, they'd be like, ladies, you have to go and let a guy in.
Yeah.
Commandeered the men's room.
We talked about the hatred on some of the Facebook sites that I got, and one of them was about the restroom. If an effing person comes in the bathroom, I'm going to effing hurt you, da 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 da. So I actually screenshot the person's name, and it's on Facebook, it's there. Not that I couldn't delete it afterwards, but I ended up screenshotting it, and I spoke at a church in Dartmouth. So I contacted Scott, the pastor, and he contacted the police just to let them know that there could be something that occurs today. It was National Transgender Day of Remembrance that I was speaking about. No, I'm not transgender, but I'm versed on the topic, so I was asked to speak there. And it's out there. It's here. It's New Bedford, guys. The hatred is here.
No,
yes,
it is.
of course
as much
it
as we think we're woohoo, we're not where we need to be.
And people become too complacent with thinking we are where we need to be. I mean, you had to screenshot something and go to the police just in case something, happens to you where you get hurt. It's 2018 and
19.
Oh my gosh, it's 2019.
Welcome to the new year.
Girls, it's been 9 years.
You got a shout out from someone?
I saw,
cool.
but I was waiting for him to talk. So Ian says, empowered women rock. Keep up the great work, ladies.
Oh,
Thank you,
Ian.
Yep. Yeah, Ian's actually one of our youth.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, so shout out to Ian. We haven't seen you lately, Ian.
Haven't seen you.
Hello, person.
Nope, I got them all.
Cool.
Ian Abreu, he's a city councilor at large.
Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Still same
He's
setup,
probably
though.
grateful that you called him a youth, though.
Sorry, Ian. I thought you
I
were
know,
our
you
youth.
said it was, I didn't want to say anything.
Erica said, I can't wait to participate in the weekend.
She will be drumming.
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah.
She's
I didn't know which
indigenous.
Erica it is.
Erica Scott.
It is, yeah.
Hi, Erica.
Ian Abreu says, I'm right here.
Can you say Erica is actually going to be running for mayor
In Fall River.
in Fall River?
Yeah.
So that's really exciting and exciting that she'll be in the
We
march.
actually just became Facebook friends a few weeks
cool.
ago, which is
Very
great,
cool.
I'm 33. Is that considered youth? LOL. My son's 31. Yes, you are. You could be my kid.
When you do South Coast Young Professionals, you have till you're 39 before you can get kicked out. So
And I think, the young Dems, you're a young Dem until you're 50.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm joking, not 50.
But
But we're going to keep...
ages and getting kicked out. At our youth group, we do 14 to 24. What happens when you're 25? Where do you go?
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why we started Pride Cafe was South Coast Equalities at the UU Church in New Bedford. And it was the first and third, God help me, Monday of the month. We said, well, why don't we invite them to our center? Think about it. When you age out, where are you going to go?
What do you do?
Where do you go? So now you can still have the same home, just a different night.
Right.
And we started a youth group it was supposed to be 8 to 13 with the parents. And the group
nice.
participated a little bit. We're still giving resources. We're trying to find a better fit. That's why we move yoga to Monday nights. From Monday to Wednesday nights. And we're hoping to have, kids who have issues, or the parents who don't understand, my kid's a boy, what do you mean he thinks he's a girl?
Yeah.
To come in and talk to us, and we'll be able to help. So we're able to represent 8 to 13, 14 to 24, 25, and deaf, if you want to call it that. And maybe one day we'll have a big center, and we'll have everybody
That's
there.
great
That'd
that
be
you're
awesome.
representing every
Yeah.
kind of sector, because it's so true. You don't think about that. If you're 25 and homeless, even if you're not a youth, you're still homeless, or if you have addiction problems, or if you need that help, it doesn't matter how old you are, you still need that. That's great what you're doing.
It's funny, when we first got the center, we asked the kids where they wanted to go. We're youth-driven, peer-led with adult support. And they said, we want to be downtown, we want to be storefront, we want people to see us when they walk by.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we're still down there 7+ years later, downtown, right where we need to be, so it's kind of good. All right, let's go back.
Okay.
What can people expect when they attend the march on the 19th? Like, I know you guys were at last year's, like, what's,
Well, the
I've
feeling
never,
is
I wish I could go
electric.
because I have to work. So I've never been, what can I expect?
The feeling is electric. There's like such a great feeling. And I remember Miss Perman Hardy saying there was so much love in the city. She said where she lived, you didn't feel that type of love from like everybody. So it's for me, it's a great feeling. It's like everybody's welcome, ages, genders, whatever. It's all about love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very high energy.
It's high energy, and it's very, you just feel such an air of acceptance that you're talking to strangers and learning about, it just gives you such a feeling of comfort, you know, especially for me, someone who kind of feels intimidated by people, and it's just like, wow, we're all on the same level and the same page, and that really adds so much energy, and you talk a lot more, and it's great.
It's very multi-generational.
Which is terrific, because we talked about that on our show, when we marched in the Cape Verdean Parade. There's a generation that's missing. If you ever, well, if you've been, when we march the parade, we see the young kids, and we see their parents, but we don't see the 14 to 22-year-olds anymore. We
Marching in the parade?
No, just on the sidelines.
Ah.
I don't see that generation.
If you go to the end of it, like they're usually like around Monty's, that's where all the kids are, and there's like a whole 3 blocks that turns into like a little Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And that's where whereas 20-year-olds are.
Yeah.
That's where we hang.
That's where you hang? All right, let's see.
Remember 21.
Paulo says, haha, I'm 44, father of 2 daughters. Where does that leave me?
I know Paolo. I know you, Paolo. You'll be there with your daughters, standing strong.
Go to the men's forum and you can find more about where you
The
stand.
men's forum, 10:30.
Yep.
And guys, I know you guys are commenting on our page. After the LGBTQ Voice is aired on the Bedford Guide, you guys can share this page. If we had 5,000 people that see our show shared it that one time, and somebody else shared it, then all these topics that we're talking about will definitely get out there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, it's amazing. We have, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, depending on the show. And if everybody could just share that one and share that one episode that they've been on, I think the show would grow.
Absolutely.
And again, even though we're the LGBTQ voice, I am a woman. We did homeless. Yes, there's homeless gay people, Okay, let's go back.
And it's an important fabric in our city.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Pablo's comment too, and I think that's what we were saying before. Is just because we're empowering ourselves to move forward doesn't mean we're saying you have to stay backwards or stay complacent where you are. Us gaining something doesn't mean we're taking something away from anybody else.
Yeah. Ever seen that meme that says like civil rights is not pie?
No, I haven't.
It's this, it's the picture of the pie, and it doesn't mean more for me means less for you.
3.14.
Pizza pie.
Oh, interesting. And the other things, like for Paolo to come, you're honoring your grandmother, your great-grandmother. I mean, we think about all the women in the South Coast that came before us that probably had
I apologize.
ambitions.
Paulo, I don't appreciate that, so I won't be answering any of your things for tonight, so we're going to
There you go.
forget Paulo.
All right.
All right.
So, but when you think about women that had ambitions that had to go unfulfilled just because they didn't look the part, and I think about that because every once in a while, before a council meeting, we're all there talking, and like Dennis Lawrence, his father was a city councilor, and like Councilor Markey, his uncle was mayor. And men have that history and that legacy. And I get a little jealous. I'm like, I want to work hard so that, my nieces.
Yeah, but didn't your aunt do this?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
We can
She
plug
did.
this, the New Bedford Human Relations Commission.
One
first
of the
annual-
people.
One of the people.
Yes.
We had, I was there, first annual Human Rights Day luncheon and award ceremony, a presentation December 10th, 2018. So you were there.
I couldn't be there. I couldn't be there. It's important, but I couldn't be there, unfortunately. But we are in the process of planning next year, because this year it was a kind of short notice because we had to make it official.
You did
So
a
the planning
great
was short
job, though.
notice.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of planning for the site, and we're looking forward to having it as an annual event.
And it was proclaimed Human Rights Day in New
We
Bedford,
proclaimed,
December.
yes.
Got the December 10th, sorry. I have too many dates and I want to make.
No, I know, there's so much.
Plugs.
Right.
There's so many things, and that's what makes the city great too. There's so many events, so many ways to get involved.
Even on Facebook, if you guys could keep doing it, and people in Facebook land, when you look at your events on the left-hand side, you can actually see all the events that are going on in the area. I usually just say I'm interested in so many events, people see it on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
But you can always look at all the events of everything that's going on and go, you know what, maybe I didn't even think about helping this group of organization.
Right.
That happens to me often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Listen, don't forget to talk about Sunday.
Oh yeah, so we're going to Sunday. That's Saturday.
Sorry, we didn't get, good. We can keep going.
Can we put up the flyer for the hair? Yeah. Thank you.
Sunday's a very exciting day. So it's like a come down from Saturday, from all the excitement and all of that vibe from Saturday. Sunday's like a come down where you can, what's the name of Tabitha's event?
Be Bold for Change.
Yep, and it's
Style Maker Salon.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Rock Hill
can,
Ave.
yep, and you can go in from 11 to 2 and get your hair cut and that refreshed feeling that maybe you haven't in a while. Maybe it's not in your budget or whatever, but you can get it done for free by the wonderful women at Style Maker Salon, led by Tabitha, for free. So it's a great event. And then once you're feeling fresh and have that kind of confidence you get from a new hairstyle, you can head on over to MLK Day at the
Temple Tiferet.
Yep, the
Martin
Tiferet
Luther King
Temple.
Jr. Day, guys.
Yeah.
Yep,
Sorry.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day, where it'll be a celebration. It's our annual celebration. It'll be at the Tiferet Synagogue, and we'll have Sharon Holiday is going to be our keynote speaker. We have some amazing singers coming in. It's actually a mother and daughter. So it's going to be a great event and a great way to end a really wonderful and empowering weekend.
And anyone that's coming in from out of town, they might just spend the weekend in New Bedford. Please stay at the Harbor Hotel. They're giving us a rate of $79 a night.
Oh, sweet.
Just let them know that you're there for the Weekend of Women.
Yep.
And stay the whole weekend and enjoy.
I might
New
have to
Bedford.
stay there.
Maybe worth it,
Price.
right? Also,
Little
The rooms are
staycation.
beautiful.
Yeah.
they're looking for reservations to reserve appointments for the 11 to 2 event. It's www.stylemakerssalon.com.
Yes,
So if you
yes,
can make an
thank
appointment
you.
ahead of time, because I've obviously 50,000 people show up, they're not gonna be able to get
They
to you all.
can't, right?
So,
Yeah.
but how amazing is it? You know, new do, fresh you, and you know,
Yeah.
Exactly.
it's free.
Yeah, and it's free, and you really do take for granted that feeling you get when you get a new. We got donated, actually, Ruth and I, hairstyling today from
Sensations.
From Sensations,
Yeah.
and I have not had my hair done by a professional, and I can't even say how long because of time and because of money, because I'm not going to spend it on that when you have kids. Like, you're just like, that is the least of my worries, and then the time, even if I were to, I can't, and just to do it, you feel empowered, you feel like a different kind of strength. So I think it's great that Tabitha is willing to do that for women for free as well.
After the weekend, the outside will match the inside.
Yes, all of it. It's a full body experience.
There you go.
Yes, yeah.
So I know we're talking about this year. So next year, are you gonna do like the weekend again? Does it change the date? Is it gonna be the same weekend? Have you thought ahead yet?
No, well, I don't know. We just want to focus on this and making
Yeah.
it the very best.
Yeah.
And we can, and just make it amazing.
I can see a week long, that's what I was getting at. I know, tell me about it.
Really?
Weekend
So I guess
is
I'm
kind of
helping
a
out
lot.
with that one, sister.
I know. I think they do enough on the LGBTQ side, part of what we do in the community, and our Pride Day is a lot to do for Pride. We have a full day. We start at 7 a.m. and Pride goes from 11 to 4. Jeff Costa does our yoga. We have a wellness walk around the park. And then at the end of Pride, we have an after party somewhere. So it's a lot to do for a full day event.
That's awesome.
Let's see, what projects are you guys currently working on besides, what's going on here? I know we have some private questions to ask you guys.
Well, just trying to encourage as many women to run for office as possible, and trying to build allegiance amongst women to support women of Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party to run. I've been so inspired by, the swearing in at Congress. My
Yeah.
television is now stuck on C-SPAN, and I'm just a nerd. I'm like, am I gonna see Ayanna? Am I gonna, so I'm like, that's really my passion right now, is to get women to run.
So I know a private conversation was, how was your work on gentrification going?
Well, I think, so it was a great forum, and I've talked to people across, even outside of the state now, because I talked to some people in Philly. So I think my thought is also to broaden the discussion to what we're doing to empower to people at the poverty level and below poverty level. Because I remember, like, in the 80s, New Bedford had a very thriving economy. And my memory could be different, but I remember Reagan and trickle down really killing small business owners. And people had to really work to get back up to middle class. But there were a lot of people that, there was nothing, and they're still struggling. So it's like, what are we doing in New Bedford to make it so that people from New Bedford can succeed, so that we can have, so people can encourage home ownership, which is a huge thing with gentrification, because if people are homeowners, they can't get pushed out. Whenever we talk about bringing large businesses in, like Amazon, how is that going to help the people from New Bedford? How is that going to connect us to jobs? I know, because I'm also the chairperson of fisheries, been talking a lot with people there about job creation there and how do we connect. We have $1 billion industry, but you go 8 blocks down the south end and you see people unemployed. So how is that? You know, I mean, there's talk of a blue economy, but if it's not feeding the people from here, it might as well not exist. And again, it's like one thing to come up with these cute names, but how are we actually going to empower people and allow people to live with dignity? And that's out of poverty. So I know we did a job fair at Ben Rose Community Center, but that's been closed down. And the woman that runs it now works, Dina Abreu, for Rep Cabral. So I think our next step is to actually do a job fair tour, because you know, you have it in kids' neighborhoods and they go and there's pieces of paper and people from there, but to get the kids in a bus and take them to these places so they see, oh, I see people here working and they look like me and I see what they're doing and it doesn't work hard, and it's okay, I see it's not terribly far from where I am, like I'm out of my neighborhood, it's still, I like it, you know. So I think that will be a step. So really it's about empowering people out of poverty and encouraging, because the homes are still reasonable here. First time buyers can get help. So I think that's broadening the conversation.
Sweet.
Because we like people to move in. I mean, she moved here 5 years ago, and you're not getting her back.
So you stayed.
No.
So Ruth, what can someone fresh out of high school do to financially plan for their future?
If you are fresh out of high school, well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is I hope that you spoke with somebody who was not invested in financing your education, meaning not a loan officer or somebody representing the school you're trying to go to. And if you haven't done that, then you should do that, because the options for financing college are they're expensive, they're hard to understand, and it can be a sales process. If that's not the path you're taking, the first thing you need to do is getting used to paying your future self first. So you should think of savings as like a living expense. And it doesn't need to be a ton of money, but $20 a month at 20 years old. If anybody's interested, I can send you a graph of this. But
Because
if you
Ruth
start
is a financial advisor.
We should have said at the beginning, I apologize. We knew that ahead of time.
If you start saving within those first 5 years out of high school, we call it like the rocket phase, you'll see how much that adds on to the tail end of your retirement. And we all know we hear an awful lot about Social Security and whether or not it's going to be available. So it's something that you should get into the habit of now. It doesn't need to break your lifestyle. You don't need to be thinking, oh my gosh, I can't afford to save. Anything helps. So just think of it as a living expense. Don't spend it until you've put something away.
And Beth, what made you fight for the paid family medical leave act?
That one was really personal to me, because when I had my son, I actually had to go back to work a month after I had him, and that kind of separation, nobody should have to go through it, and I will fight to the death so nobody else does, because you can say what you want about a parent, because people have nasty comments saying, well, don't have kids if you can't. You can say that to me, but this child is innocent and did not ask to be born into this world, and it affects their cognitive development from an early age if they don't have that kind of bonding with their parents. So right from the start, these kids whose parents had to leave them and go back to work aren't starting off at the same level as other kids. And we're just talking about babies now, where they're already kind of are left behind. So it's about the children, and it's also about the pain we feel as mothers having to leave our babies. There's no other Western civilized countries that would tear a mother away from her baby a month after they were born. And it's other things too, like if a family member gets cancer and gets sick and you can't be with them for their dying days because you have to go to work because there's no other safety net for you to pay your bills. Like, we have to treat our fellow citizens better and with dignity, and treating them that way would be saying you can stay with your dying mother for 6 weeks and wish her farewell, and you don't have to worry about your lights going out. So that's why I fight for that.
The one reason I want to ask you guys privately of what you guys are doing is that we all wear many hats. It's not just we're here for the Women's March, or I'm not just here for LGBTQ. I'm here for our kids, I'm here for our elders, I'm here for all these other groups and organizations that, again, and I think, oh my God, she runs a band club downtown, but my brain's gone.
Oh, Ramona.
Ramona, she was on the show, It Takes a Village, you know, it takes, you know, to do it all. If you guys, I mean, you guys, you've been on the show before, and I've known you in the community now. If you guys have any topics you want us to bring up, just hit me up. And again, Traci at sclgbtqnetwork.org. Do you guys want to end with anything else about what you guys are doing? Or?
I think we
want to invite everyone
Yes.
to please come
Yeah,
this
it's a rain or
weekend.
shine event. It is what it is. We say the same thing for Pride. We're always
Yeah.
like, please don't rain, please don't rain. But it's a Pride every Saturday in June in our area,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So we're like, please don't rain.
Please, and even if it does, though, come. LunaFest is inside of the Zeitarian
Right.
Theater, and much of the march is inside at forums. And you know, even if you can't go one day, come the other day. Like experience some part of it, even if you can't. And Erica, who commented,
Yeah.
she really touched me at last year's Women's March because she said, "I'm here representing all of the women who can't be there here because they have to be at home with their kids. They can't pay a babysitter. They have to go to work." And I feel that touched me a lot. Now we have 3 days where you know
And you can bring
be
your
part of it.
babies.
And yes.
I will hold them.
Oh, Dana will hold them. She might not give them back.
You can't just drop and run. You say that for the youth group, we did the 8 to 13. We always joke, don't drop your kids and run and come back and get them at the end of the night. No, it doesn't
Yeah,
work
no.
that way.
You can drop. I'll take
Yeah,
She
Dana.
was just
Dana's like, it's a drop-off service. Bring them all here.
Oh, definitely. All right, guys, well, that's about it for this week's LGBTQ Voice. Eileen will be back next week because I got my foster care classes. So we'll see you in 2. Take care. Bye now.